Welcome to Supermoney. Somebody had asked me a question, how to transition a portfolio from the age of 55 to 65 to 75 to 85. I've done 55 to 65. Now let me come, how do you transition the portfolio till the age of, for a person who is now 75, which means you may start the process at 72, 73. So what are your objectives? Obviously, you are prioritizing safety. You're prioritizing regular income and liquidity while minimizing management effort. Now you don't want to put too much effort. You don't have anybody to look after you on a day-to-day basis. So nobody is going to tell you switch from small cap to large cap, and whether the person is adding value or no, you start panicking saying, I don't know what is happening. I'm not keeping myself up to date. So when I'm saying 75, I'm assuming husband and wife are the same age, because if the wife is 5 years younger and she is willing to actively participate in the management, then my answers could be a little different, but I'm making this assumption. You are now something like 30%, 35% in equity. You can come down to 20% in equity, provided you have a reasonably sized portfolio. If you have a small portfolio, you may still need to have 30% in portfolio, because 75 to 95, you still have to worry about inflation and growth. So reduce the direct equity, but stick to multi-asset funds and balance advantage fund. You may now want to transition completely out of equity funds and go into multi-asset funds, because your debt also gets taxed more favorably. So BAF to maintain some equity, but other than that, maybe no direct equity or no direct equity funds also. You have now come to maybe 70% in debt. So in debt, you will have more choice where to put. You could have debt funds. You could have some debt funds where you have switched, where you have opted for dividends, right? You opted for the dividend option. You could have some fixed deposits. Have some fixed deposits which are long run, like 7 years, 8 years, even 10 years is possible. Some there, and some in the 5-year range, and some in the 1-year range, right? So when interest rates change, your 10-year fixed deposit looks very bad if interest rates are increasing, but at least your 1 year is available for renewal. So apart from this, you could have an ultra short bond fund which would give you good returns, or a free interest a bond fund like all season bond fund, where the fund manager decides at which duration to invest, right? So you want to run some of the duration like that. You can't do all this in a multi-asset fund. So you could have that, and some of your the mutual funds, you could have even shifted to a dividend option, because if you don't have direct equity, the chances are you don't have any dividends. So if you don't have any dividends, you could have the dividend option here. Remember, things have changed from my older videos. In my older videos, I would have not said this, but today with 12 lakhs as exempt income, so 12 lakhs for husband, 12 lakhs for wife, and maybe 3 lakhs for 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs for the HUF, and getting some of the ATC benefit for your taxation. So some of those things could happen in your HUF, but the other places, I think you have to less worry about taxation, especially if you're in that marginal rate. If your taxable income is anyway 30 lakhs of dividend, like I know some people with 35 lakhs of dividend, you really can't do much. Don't expect that income tax limits to go up from 12 lakhs to 24 lakhs in my lifetime. I'm not expecting that. So any Pradhan Mantri Varishta Bima Yojana to create annuity, all that looks good. Maybe now it's a good time to exit all direct holdings if you have. Stick to 2-3 funds maximum. Consolidate fixed deposits to 1 or 2. Many people try keeping the fixed deposit in different places to avoid TDS. Makes no sense. Today everything is tracked to your PAN, so everything will be captured by a 26AS. So there is no great fun in keeping small fixed deposits. So if there is a good State Bank of India or HDFC Bank near your house, best is to go and keep all your fixed deposits there and make sure that they understand what you're doing, right? Avoid complex products. It's not time for you to be buying anything. If you have some old ULIPs, etc., which have matured, get them into these BAF or multi-asset fund, and one debt scheme, and or one floating rate debt scheme, some 2-3 such schemes, and understand everything that you're doing. Transfer real estate, sell off, do whatever you want, but it is time when you can't manage real estate of collecting rent, etc. Though of course I know one person who has bought two houses, given it to two of his children, and he expects them to pay about 45,000 per person as rent, so that 90,000 becomes his income, and when he and his wife die, that property will belong to them. So something like this is very different, but you can't give your property on rent to somebody. Make sure the rent is coming, you paid the society charges, the taxation. It's not going to be very easy, right? So now then worried, now you should be handling your tax, your healthcare, and your estate planning, right? If you make a will, remake a will, sell some asset, sell some real estate, buy another real estate, whatever you do, right? So your portfolio could now be 15-20% in equity and balance in debt, and a little bit of gold, but you may want to get rid of real estate completely, unless the person who wants to own it after your death is taking full charge of that. At 75, you don't want to run around looking for collecting rent, etc. Now, how do you transition from the age of 75 to the age of 85? Asset allocation, you may have gone to 10% in equity, right? Maybe that is in multi-asset fund, and therefore you have some money left still in equity. The remaining 80-90% could be in debt, and I mean, when I'm talking of senior citizen saving scheme or Pradhan Mantri Varishta Bima Yojana, I'm assuming that these schemes will be in place even at that stage. Some RBI deposits, some RBI bonds which gives you decent interest, so maybe some national savings certificate which gives you decent interest, bank fixed deposit, whatever you are willing to work for, right? So it might be much easier for you to work with a bank than with the post office at this age, because you will not be too keen to run around the post office at the age of 85 to do that, right? So some more short-term deposits, and then and a few long-term deposits. You may have a floating rate fund, you may have an all-season bond fund or something like that. You may have transitioned out of gold. You don't need gold, you're not going to go and sell gold, so gold could be some ETF or SGSS, right? So sovereign gold bond fund. Some of those schemes could be there, may be there, may not be there. So please understand with a pinch of salt. When I say sovereign gold bond fund, it's a very good scheme, but the scheme may not be in existence, or scheme could be in existence and there may not be any issues. So whatever schemes like that are available, so consolidate to one or two investment types, maybe one multi-asset or one BAF, and that's what you require, which has enough equity. Nominate heirs, whatever you want. Make sure that the heirs nominated and what you're saying in the will are perfectly in place. Create a will, create a document explaining the will, why you have given so much to this person, why you are giving money to the servant. You are assuming the servant is going to look after you. If you're living in a senior citizen home, maybe some employee there, you want to give some money, better do it during your lifetime, because it may not happen after your lifetime, right? So use auto renewal for fixed deposits, etc. Your income source could now be an annuity. You may have bought an annuity recently with very good rates, then interest from fixed deposits, and some minimum some SWP. If you think you have got too much money in multi-asset fund, start doing an SWP from there, because it's in an old fund, you will pay 12.5% tax. Again, when I say 12.5% tax, today if you are 55, how much will the tax be at your age of 85 is not something which I can guess, which is 30 years hence. We don't even know who will be in power. Will it be NDA? Will it be Congress? Will there be a new party? We don't know any of those things, but you have to make an assumption based on what you have today. So some senior citizen schemes will be available. Ensure all assets have nominees, will, etc., right? So all that in place. So now you have equity 5%, maybe through multi-asset you have some FDs, some cash, and that's it. So generally across ages, sit and review regularly, maybe annually. Find somebody who will help you. Could be your own children, could be your son-in-law, could be your brother-in-law, could be anybody younger, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years younger, nephew, niece, friends, son, daughter, right? So make sure that your emergency fund is now slightly more than what you would have had in a younger days. You don't have to worry too much about inflation at the age of 85. I'm assuming even if you live till the age of 90, 95, it's only 10 years inflation that you have to worry about. Estate planning, you should have completed all the documentation. Now is the time to enlist an advisor. This is not a time to get rid of an advisor, it's time to enlist an advisor. Consider professional help, somebody who is registered with SEBI, etc., and not exactly a banker. Monitor the government schemes and all that. If you don't have the energy to do it, don't be in the government schemes, be in the bank fixed deposit, doesn't really matter. Check out which accounts you want to close, right? So this is the time when you maybe shut down your broking account, or if you don't have any shares, you don't need a broking account, you don't need a demat account for your you don't need a demat account at all, because you don't have to hold your shares in your mutual funds in a demat form. So consider all these things and make your transition from 75 to 85. I'm assuming 85 to end of life, the portfolio will remain somewhat same. Thank you.